Here we go. Time for another sprint zone. This one's for 10:15. And I'd like to thank all of the participants who sent in their data. That would be Scott, Ben, and Wolfgang. And we've got an exciting one here today as we head into the melee zone. Strongman up front. Jonathan of the Rio team looking strong. And we have Joel up there. Mostly a runner, but he had put a lot of time in training for the Steamboat Gravel, and his efforts have paid off as he is riding extremely strongly. Looking rearward, got John in the USA, Ilka there looking strong in the HP kit. Haven't seen that one for a while as everyone gets prepared. And I must say, everyone looks good here. Riding handlebar to handlebar, that is what I like to see. Not too much overlap of the wheels there, good spacing. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Looking at my power coming in here. Life is good. Everyone's getting a nice warm-up, and this was not a quick one. You know, there are some days where people push the pace, but this was one where perhaps my words and the words of others have been heated, and it was, in fact, a reasonable warm-up. Strongman pulling off the front, Joel there, and Jonathan getting drinks of water there as we signal that it is time to partay. A little bit of traffic here, and people decide wisely to wait. At least most people anyhow. And we'll notice that some have gone up, and technically, you know, they didn't really violate the rules of engagement because they didn't actually go that hard, but they were off the front. And we're waiting for our 30-second power to quiesce there. Everyone else is pretty much zero. You'll notice that Scott's power is doing something up the road because, yep, he went up the road. And this is something that people need to be aware of, like group awareness. Some people do not have it. Some people do, but at least they had enough to realize that strong men weren't there. And, of course, they would have had themselves run down anyhow because there are big men in tow. In any case, I'd also like to thank Scott for his GoPro footage that you see in the upper right-hand corner there as the party is getting started in earnest. 30-second power for everybody. Not too bad. And you can see Scott's up front in the 120, so he's definitely waiting, so it's not that bad. Although, I must say, getting a little bit of respite is, in fact, not fair, totally. Because if I were sitting up the road, that is like 30 seconds more of me not being over my threshold. Because I'm looking at my 30-second power right now at 260. My FTP is probably around 200. So my heart rate's really coming up here. And if I were rested like some of these people, it would give me just a little bit of extra edge. Not saying they were trying to cheat, but some people are just not aware of that advantage. And now the power is amped up and you see everybody in the 200s. And the heart rates are beginning to rise. Mine, of course, being the highest, maybe because I'm the oldest in the group. And Ben goes off the front as usual. And Ben and I were having a conversation. He's like, how can we make this more fun? Because honestly, Ben is one of those supers, and he could walk off the front, and the might of the group here would not be enough to bring him back. At least we're not able to get organized enough to bring him back. So Ben's dangling off the front, and I'm thinking to myself, it's time to go. People are just letting him out there, waiting for somebody else to do the work. And you can see as I head off into the distance in the upper right-hand part of the screen there, and life is good. Yeah, so Scott in tow, and people decide that they want to bring me back. I'm happy to go up there, and Ben is looking to keep me in tow here because the cameraman can't be dropped, at least not too early. And so I'm sitting in, and my power's not super high, but it's not super low either. And you can see at Wolfgang, and it looks like Scott had to put in some effort to bring Ben and I back. You know, if there were smarter, perhaps more savvy riders, and I know there are some that are like looking to go early, this would have been the opportunity with Ben going off the front. But maybe they know that like sitting in the number 2 spot, your draft isn't quite as good. And you can see that looking at Scott back there. He's like pedal, 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 and you see him soft pedal there. Looking at his power is like 102, 32nd, where mine is like 160 something. So clearly, being in the latter positions, there is a great advantage. Ben up front pushing strong there, and he is happy to be out front, happy to start to string things out. And and no one has really decided that things need to happen yet. Everyone in a line, and I'm wondering when things are going to hot up. And I was sitting behind Ben for the longest time and looking at the map. It's been a mile, over a mile, and Ben has been the only one out front working hard. Others, tactically trying to bide their time, looking to see when they can go. And usually the people are complaining. There's some riders that complain, we're not going hard enough, we're not going hard enough. Well, this is clearly hard enough, but I see no attacks here. I see no moving up yet. And here we go. Perhaps the first move of the day, someone trying to help out Ben, the gentleman in the white kit, whose name I don't recall. But anyhow, it's been out a few times. Strong man, going to the front, and Ben looks over and he's like, okay, perhaps this is a little bit of assistance. Of course, Ben doesn't need any assistance. He's a super. And he can just sit here, not even concerned about the small gap, just methodically looking to make certain that the cameraman is still there, and he brings this gentleman back. And looking at the power here, so my 30-second, 260, 280, and my heart rate's up to 167, yeah, at my threshold. And then Ben easily goes by saying, yep, thanks for playing our game, nice try there. Jonathan coming through looking strong after being back in the pack, and that is nice to see people coming forward here. Scott sitting there on my wheel, putting out a decent amount of power. Wolfgang looking strong there. Greg in the FCCT kit looking strong, and no selection has been made yet. Jonathan comes to the front, and now it is my turn. No one else following Jonathan. And once again, I find myself still at the second wheel. And looking at my 30-second power here, 266, 260. Well, and there's the elbow. And let's look at our speed, 21. No, unless you drop your speed, there's no effing way I'm going around. That's not how this stuff works. It should be, if we're trying to work together, you drop the pace off, I'll go up and I'll maintain your pace, but I am not going around. And now we see the slight downhill, 24, and Ben coaches me there, keep it easy, because the hill is coming. But yeah, just a word of the wise, unless you drop your speed, I'm not going around. Anyway, I'm course to go to the front finally, and there's this little bit of a grade. And I'm like, oh, I know somebody's going to go here. And I was hoping to maintain a little bit of a rested period, but no. And Wolfgang goes hard. And looking at his power here, there we go, 440 watts. And there are two off the front, and it is a good attack. And where are those that are always complaining that nobody wants to go? Where are they? Are they waiting for the supers to do the work? Anyway, Scott is the first to be in tow and chasing. Looks like John looking strong there. Daniel looking strong there. Kind of wondering why they didn't go up a little bit earlier when this attack was being formed. Plenty of time. Jonathan looking, and everybody is still together. Mr. Lawyer looking good as I fade back, trying to get some respite here. And now my heart rate is up to 173. Yeah, this is above my threshold. And I'm looking for some cover here. And special thanks to Ben for sitting out in the wind, giving me a little bit of shelter as the second echelon was sort of formed there. Everybody pushing hard. And you can see the gap just growing up there. No one is bringing them back, but no one is in earnest chasing either. Not a whole lot of organization here yet. And perhaps there's no respect. Maybe they know that the big engine's here. Maybe they know that anytime Ben decides to bring them back, that they will be easily returned to the fold. Perhaps Ben is just toying with them. And I do like that nickname, the Toy Master. Yeah, because it looks like a good size gap. And it looks like they might get away. And if it were stronger men, if it was Byron, if it was JC, or any of the other big men from the TTH that happened to come by, it would have been game over. But no. And it's a good attack. And looking at the Wolfgang's power, that's good, 30-second power, in the 270s. And he sees us back there. And it's good that somebody went with him. Perhaps a third person could have made this happen. And another little push here, and like, oh, I am straining and grunting and groaning as the men hammer on, and you can see in earnest, and as they just go blowing by. And this has to be demoralizing for those who just got blown by. And look at that. And there they are. Yep, Wolfgang used like an old paper towel, discarded. And here comes the rabble. And I am brought back as I was caught in no man's land. And I'm not certain if we're like trying to work together here or what. Jonathan comes through, and Anna strongly comes through. I'm going to talk about that visor. If you want to play with the big man, get rid of that visor. Save yourself a little bit. And look at Greg with the arrow helmet. And it looks like Marcelo coming through. And Curtis, Steve there. Oh, and is that Ian in there? Oh, yeah. And everybody is here. Not certain how well organized we are. It looks like people jumping off the front, but we will see if anything works here. Nice little echelon. Ian sitting in the wind and giving me a little bit of shelter. And we bring back those who thought that they could not work together. And this is important. I mean, you better be strong if you're going to go all cowboy and try to bring people back. Better to try to work in the group. And at this point, my heart rate's still above 170 or at 170, so I am not long for this planet. But I just want to hang on, at least in the gruppetto. And, you know, it's kind of strung out here. This should have been a more pure echelon, and you can see that there's horsepower being wasted going 4 wide. But hey, you know, that's the way things are. And it looks like Wolfgang is going to make a bridge or attempt a bridge, going to the front. Maybe he's trying to help here. I'm not really certain, but that is a good effort. But perhaps he wants something to show for that attack, not to be brought back so early. And there we go. I need to try to stay in contact here, and there I make my way back after no recovery whatsoever. My heart rate 173. And perhaps in my advanced years, I shouldn't be doing that. But, you know, if I'm going to pass on, this is indeed not a bad way to go. And Marcelo being brought back. Excellent training from all that Great America, 100 miles a day type stuff that he was doing. Well done to hang on at least a little bit longer than I was. And here we go. The rest of the gruppetto pushing hard there. Wolfgang pushing hard there. Steve pushing hard there. And I'm trying to maintain contact here. My 30-second power close to 300. And at this point, I give up the ghost. No mas. And I figure a good time was in fact had by all. It looks like nobody's going to really catch me. And that was fun. I wish I could have hung on a little bit longer. But I must say I indeed enjoyed that one. That was good. And that's what I'm talking about. Good attacks. Good pace. And a good time was had by all. There goes Anna there looking strong. Is she? Yep. I think perhaps the first woman this time. Very good. Most impressive. Most impressive. And I must say that looking and following her, that double wrist that she did with Hernan and Mark, etc. Yeah, there are people out there doing big miles, and it's nice to see that they'll bring themselves to the contest here to be showcased. In any case, until next time, there'll be another party, and I'll be there. Hopefully a little closer to the front, but there nevertheless. Oh, and I didn't really talk too much about what was happening up front. It's basically the Ben and Scott show, and I think Daniel got second on that one, but that was good. I enjoyed it. Until next time.